Hey, welcome back to Jaztime. Jaztime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you'd like to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate if you purchase your next watch from us at Jaztime.com. Today we'll be taking a look at the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak flagship models. Now I have three different types here, all different dial colors, and even a different material, just so you have a general sense, good idea of what all of these are. Now we have the older generation, the 15300 on the left, 15400 in the middle, and the newest 15500 down on the right side. Now through the generations, we have 2005 to 2012 for the 15300, 2012 to about 2017 for the 15400, and the 15500 was from around 2018 up to the present. Now, three generations of the same exact watch, the 153, 154, 15500. Now, taking a look at the earliest model, the 15300, this particular model in pink or rose gold only came on a leather strap, but you can actually still get a matching integrated bracelet. Actually, we can get them for you on our website as well, and they actually are the same exact bracelet size as on the modern 15500. This is literally one of the great things about Audemars Piguet, is that they don't really make changes to their bracelets, and they actually fit perfectly, even though the case sizes are different. Just by looking at the oldest versus the newest, it's pretty easy to see. All right, so the raw specs here, we have a 39mm case from finger to thumb. That's the 2 to 8 o'clock position, or the 10 to 4 position, same distance, 39mm. The thickness is 9.4mm from top to bottom on this case, so this is easily the smallest Royal Oak, at least out of the ones that we have here, and certainly it has the thinness to match. Also, we have that exhibition case back, so it looks nice, and you can see the movement on the inside looks very clean. You have the Audemars and Piguet family logos there, family crests on that winding rotor. Works just nicely. All right, we also have the Grand Tapisserie dial on the front. This one is a black Grand Tapisserie dial. It does have a bit of a sunray or sunburst pattern to it, a bit subtle, a little harder to see in certain lighting situations, but it's certainly there. Now, take a look at the dial layout here. You have this sort of integrated into the index hour marks. You have the AP logo, the letter form portion at the very top, taking up that 12 o'clock hour position. You have the Audemars Piguet logo, the word mark underneath with the word automatic. You also have the date window, very nicely situated, like vertically and horizontally, perfectly between the 2 and 4 o'clock hour positions. It just fits perfectly. It just looks right. All right, and so overall, compositionally, that's generally how it looks. The lengths of these index hour markers match the height of the AP logo at the 12 o'clock position. All right, you also have this interesting counterweight to the seconds hand. It's sort of like a rounded off sort of ore type of look, almost organic in its overall appearance. All right, so it does certainly have an aged look to it. A very good sense of the Audemars Piguet legacy, nicely encapsulated in this dial. All right, now that's basically all there is to say about this. When it comes to all three of these Royal Oak watches, they're all basically the same in terms of their proportions. You have the rounded octagonal bezels, the different case sizes obviously, but the dials will increase with the size based on, obviously, the case size. Now, taking a look at the 15400, what's changed about the Royal Oak here? Actually, let me move the hour hand out of the way. What's changed here was that they moved the AP logo down underneath the 12 o'clock hour mark and actually made it its own set of double index hour marks on the dial, directly applied as well. And so the logo lockup is a lot more tight here. It looks more proportional and complete. with its overall appearance. So to me, this feels much better. And taking a look at where that date wheel is located, it looks more inward. That's because the size of this case is actually 41 millimeters, up from 39 in the previous generation. Now, why would they increase the case size on this? Well, I'm not Audemars Piguet, so I can't actually tell you exactly why, but it's very likely that around the 2012, the early 2010s, they realized that the sort of sentiment going around was that, bigger is better. And with the increase of demand in luxury watches being bigger, well, it just makes sense for them to go a little bit bigger, up to 41 millimeters, because at 39 millimeters, checking it on the wrist here. Now keep in mind, I'm a 7-inch circumference wrist here, so for me it fits quite nicely, all right? But not everyone's wrist is 7 inches in circumference. So in comparison to a 41 millimeter watch, well, if you have a larger wrist, say closer to 7.5, 8, 9 inches in circumference, well, it will certainly fit you better, right? And certainly that seems to be the case, because when the 15400 was introduced, it basically sold out everywhere, all right? And for good reason, because that 41 millimeters actually mattered. Those extra 2 millimeters in the case size, from the 2 to 8 or the 10 to 4 position, 41 millimeters, that mattered quite a bit to people. There is a slight increase in the thickness up to 9.8 millimeters. It's about a ½ millimeter thickness difference. Holding them side by side, it's barely noticeable. When you have it on your wrist, you can tell, but having them separately and separate and distinct, well, you're not going to really tell the difference all that much, right? Because it's just ½ millimeter, you're not going to be able to feel that thickness either. All right, now nothing too different in terms of the hour marks themselves. They're nice and long, in general, and they sort of fill the spaces very nicely. The main difference here is that, well, the date window, the date aperture, has visually moved in a little bit more, and that's only a visual appearance, all right? And I'll get into why in just a second. The index hour markers, generally the same length. You have that long and thin look, and let me actually brighten them up a bit here and check the luminescence here. All right, and you'll see that they're basically the same when it comes to, the luminescence. You do get a little bit more due to the double index hour markers at the 12 o'clock for the 15400. 15300, it's not lumed when it comes to the AP letterform logo, all right? Now turning the lights back on. Okay, nice, and we can focus here. Please focus, there we go. All right, now, when it comes to that date aperture, it's visually more inward, and so they've allowed a little tiny index hour mark for the 3 o'clock position. And the reason for that is because, well, it's the same movement on the inside of these watches. Now, when you increase the case size, the dial size also increases as well. It's very minor, but it's their type of difference. So having the date wheel, the date aperture, be at the same relative position when compared to the center of the watch, that center mounting of the watch where the minutes, hours, and seconds hands are mounted, it makes sense to actually fill in that tiny bit of space between the date aperture and the edge of the dial. Now keep in mind that, these movements are the same. And if you take a look at the case backs here, you'll actually see that they are, in fact, the same. Now it's very hard to actually show both of them literally side by side, but they're literally the same. Keep in mind that, the larger case size here does mean that even the movement's the same. They had to increase this sort of this border of the case back in order to fill in that extra 2 millimeters of case. Although when you look at it in isolation, it looks just fine. It looks as you would expect. You do have all the aspects there of an AP watch, all on the inside of this movement. Nothing to worry about. And it does actually, let me bring up my specs here for this. It's a 3120 self-winding caliber with 40 jewels, total 280 parts, beats at a frequency of 21,600 vibrations per hour. So for every second it moves 6 times. That's 3 hertz, or 21,600 times per hour. You have a diameter of 26.6 millimeters of that movement on the inside. So compared to the watch itself, whatever you see through this exhibition case back, that's all there is. There's nothing else that's hidden, minus what's underneath the winding rotor. All right, altogether this gives you 60 hours of power reserve, so that's about 2.5 days-ish. So you can actually set this down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Monday morning, ready to conduct business. No need to wind the watch, because the winding rotor will keep that watch wound nicely and easily without ever having to actually unwind the crown in order to physically and manually wind the watch. It just works. All right. Now, a few more years pass and we get to 2018, and in comes the 15500 ST. Now this one, we do have it in a blue dial. This one is the boutique only blue. So as you can see, the color here is just absolutely gorgeous when it comes to the overall look. The white has sort of like a silvery tone to it. The blue is just all sorts of values of blue, still keeping that sun ray tone. All right, but what differences do you also see? Well, they removed the word automatic on the 15500 because, well, it's kind of obvious. AP is known for making automatic watches, and for very, very weird exclusionary reasons, they'll have a couple manual winds, but this is all, or even quartz watches, but this is all automatic, as is typical of all their Royal Oaks, right? And they're keeping the same case size, 41 millimeters. But take a look at how this dial is laid out. The index hour markers are actually smaller and thicker, and that is due to the fact that they're trying to open up this dial. It gives the dial more space and just overall more real estate on here, and certainly that makes it generally more modern looking when it comes to the overall look. When you have it on your wrist, you don't have the word automatic, you have shorter index hour markers, you have all that blue or white or black or even gray to look at, and it's just absolutely beautiful. If you take a loop and look at the Grand Tapisserie patterning, it's intricate and absolutely gorgeous. Also, another update to the dial, you also have the minute and seconds track at the perimeter here. If I can zoom in, it's a separate entity from the Grand Tapisserie and sort of raised off of the dial, right? When you compare it to the previous iteration, the 15400, the minutes and seconds marks are very, very hard to see. Well, they're very last in the visual hierarchy when it comes to, just examining the overall compositional makeup of this dial. They're there, but they're made to sort of just fade into the background. They're only there when you absolutely need them, which is perfectly fine. But here on the 15500, they're there, they're loud and they're proud, and it's there for a reason. And that's, very much due to, the added precision of the movement here. Now, the movement was actually updated here to the caliber 4302, and you can see it through the case back as well. It has a vibration per hour rating of 28,800 vibrations per hour, so that means 4 hertz. That means the seconds hand moves 8 times per second. You get that added sense of precision, and therefore when you set the time on this watch, you certainly get that added sense of precision. It has 32 joules with 257 total parts. The winding rotor is actually skeletonized as well, so you can fully appreciate the entire movement on the inside. And actually, did you also notice something? And yes, thanks to the updated ness of this movement, is that even a word? Updatedness? Whatever. The fact that this is an updated movement allowed Audemars Piguet to actually go all in on the 41 millimeter case size, because as I said earlier, going up from 39 millimeters on the 15300 to 41 millimeters on the 15400, they're sort of testing the waters and just seeing, how big is that demand for the 41 millimeter watch. And so when they found that the 15400 was, just selling like hotcakes, just flying off the shelves as soon as they stocked them, well, it came as no surprise that Now they went all in on the 41mm, the 15500, with its own movement. Now also keep in mind that this is the same movement shared with the Code 1159, also introduced relatively recently at around the same time as this specific model was released as well. All right. And so therefore, when you have this exhibition case back, it can actually fill in that entire area, because when you compare it to the 15400 or 15300, same thing, you have a lot more case back. And you know, even in isolation, the 15400 looks very nice, looks very good, but right next to the 15500, it now seems very tiny, very different, and just, it looks like they're either hiding something, or there needs to be something to compensate for all this extra case back. Well, they're not hiding anything. They just increase the case size up to 41mm, but kept the same movement. Now, with the demand for 41mm watches going up as high as it did, it justified the research and development, the R&D costs to actually develop a brand new movement, and you know, shared with the Code 1159, also a large sized watch. This one fits in there as well. And AP, they're known for, you know, basically using the same movement among all the watches within their same classes when it comes to case size, at least. And it just overall makes sense. Now, so AP, you know, the fact that they did this, it just says something. It means that the Royal Oak at 41mm is here to stay. It's very likely going to be here for, you know, decades at least, and it just makes sense. Also, one more thing I forgot to mention, even though the case size is 41mm, the updated movement did increase the case size to 10.4mm. So up from 9.8, now it's 10.4. If my camera would like to focus, let me change my focusing point there. All right, so holding them right next to each other, you're probably not going to see it, but the case size, even though, you know, they're really, it's about like, it's a little bit more than 0.5 millimeter in thickness difference, but when you have it on your wrist, it's noticeable here. Not so much when you're comparing the 153 to the 154. Not that much of a difference, only the case diameter really. But when it comes to thickness, jumping from the 154 to the 155, it actually becomes noticeable. It starts to feel a little bit chunky on the wrist. And certainly when I show it to you, you'll kind of know what I mean. All right, even though it is still very dressy at you know, 10.4 millimeters, you know, it does rise a little bit above the wrist more. And, you know, obviously that very large case size, it's very big for me, but if you have a larger wrist, you're the sort of person who wants the 41mm case size, well, it just makes sense to look at it, all right? So if all the updated tech and all of that stuff doesn't really quite convince you as to why you should get the newer version, well, let me also show you this. Let's take a look at the overall look of these watches. Now, they look the same, or do they? Now, taking a look at the index hour markers on the 15400, they fill in that space a lot. There's the inclusion of the word automatic, and also that seconds hand is fully filled in. It's a Lance style seconds hand, meaning it's nice and big at the end of the counterweight, and it just tapers all the way down to a nice fine point at the tip of the seconds hand. Now, when you compare it to the 15500, taking a look here, it's a skeletonized counterweight, very much matching that overall appearance of the Royal Oak hands, as well as the shortened index hour marks. The seconds hand is also the same thickness all the way down, and complete with my fingerprints, of course, but it has the same thickness all the way down, so it very much fits in line with the overall compositional look of the minute, hour, and index markers there. All right, so here on the 15500 on the right, it generally looks modern. The modernity here is reflected in the fact that there's so much extra space. When you have extra space, it gives the dial room to breathe. It has a very good overall compositional sort of uniformity look, where all the hour marks same size. It just sort of fits in with the compositional elements here, and also with that date moved all the way out back to the edge of the dial, it feels right. It feels where it should be. It just looks correct by modern standards. Now, if you do have an urge to get this 15400, let me explain to you probably why. It has a dressier overall look. It has that sort of a little bit more of an elegant feel to it. The word automatic does feel a bit dated, and also the Lance style seconds hand, even though it doesn't exactly fit in with the overall look here, it has that sort of legacy type of look, something that doesn't really show up in too many modern watches. It's more evocative of the earlier 2000s, maybe even late 90s center-mounted seconds hand. Well, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but it has a sort of an antiquated feel, and so if you're going for a more dressier approach, the 15400 is probably the way to go. However, if you want a dressier approach, you'd probably get something like a Code 1159, or even, a Patek Philippe for that matter. But, if Audemars Piguet is perfectly within your budget, well, then certainly you have that option. And we can still get 15400 Royal Oaks. It's a little bit harder to find them, and as time goes on, you'll continually only find used ones on the market, but we can still get them for you here at Jaztime. And certainly when it comes to the 15500, the most recent iteration, it's probably the easiest for us to find. So, even if we don't have it sitting on our desk, we can find one for you. We can get it, no problem. And certainly with the overall updated movement and all the parts in here, it generally has fewer service intervals, not only due to the fact that it's just generally newer, and that the older ones are completely out of production, but the newer ones have that updated overall compositional makeup of the movement, so you're going to have fewer service intervals. It'll generally run better, and it runs more precisely as well as compared to the previous models in the back there. Now, we can get the 15500, even though it will cost more up front, at least as of the making of this video. It's selling for more than double retail, actually, but you're paying for the watch itself. You're not paying to get in to get an offer for this watch from your authorized dealer or boutique. You're getting this, you're jumping right in, and this is the watch that you are settling on, and this is certainly one of the best watches to go for, in my opinion, when it comes to Audemars Piguet. This is their flagship model, the model to get. And when it comes to the updated sort of modernity sense, it has everything that anyone in the modern age, the 21st century, early 21st century at least, as of the making of this video at least, we're in 2021 right now. This reflects all of the sort of advancements and the overall statement of bigger is better, and also having the space, the room to breathe, the modern look. It's all here on this dial, even though the 15400 kind of has it. 15500 refines it and makes it better. So what do you think about these watches? Leave a comment down below on your thoughts on these Royal Oak watches from Audemars Piguet. Let me zoom out a bit here so you can see them all next to each other. 15300 on the left in rose gold, 15400 in the middle with a silver dial, 15500, the newest version, in the boutique blue on the right. All right, let us know what you think about these watches down in the comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe. Be sure to hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we go live with another video like this one. And as always, if you'd like to purchase any of these watches, well, we can find them for you here at Jaztime. The 15300, long discontinued, probably the hardest to find. Even though it will fit a smaller wrist better, bigger is usually better. And as I've stated before, AP has gone all in. They've updated the movement on the 15500 ST on the right, and it's evident just taking a look at it, and how it just sort of presents itself is just better, the most modern version. The 15400 we can still get for you, albeit also only used because this is long discontinued. The 15500, at least as of the making of this video, we can get for you rather easily. Brand new, used, you name it, will find it for you at Jaztime.com. Links in the description below if you want to purchase any or all of these watches at our website, Jaztime.com. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at Jaztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in Jaztime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.